Okay, and we should be recording. Um, Start button and go. 2. There we go. Okay, so my name is Drake Lundstrom. I am the Rotary Youth Exchange outbound chair for 6690, and I'm here to talk to you about the program. And I promise this is the most boring presentation you get all year with Youth Exchange. All the rest are better than this, but this one and one other are really boring. The rest of it's a lot more fun. So we're going to cover the basics of Rotary Youth Exchange for those of you who are just now tuning in. What is it? What is the short term? What is the long term? Who can go? How much does it cost? Some of the basics of the rules, and then kind of the schedule and plan, and then also just why should you go in the first place? Like, what do you get out of it? So Rotary Youth Exchange is a program done by Rotary International. Rotary is the world's second largest service organization. So they do volunteer work, so things like trying to end polio, bring about world peace, provide clean water for people. And this program was founded to help promote world peace. If you've actually met somebody from a country, you're more likely to understand them, less likely to want to bomb them. And the program has two parts. There's the long-term and the short-term program. The long-term program, that is the one commonly referred to as study abroad scholarship, or long-term, we kind of switch them back and forth, is living in a different country for 9 to 11 months. So you will be staying with a number of different families, and you'll actually be attending high school for the year. So you're staying there for a whole academic year. You do a year of high school in a country. Um, and it's generally valued at $24,000 just with all the things provided in it. I'll be going over those in more detail because it is not a full ride scholarship. There are still some costs for the student parent, even though Rotary does cover the majority of it. The short-term program is a family-to-family exchange where we will help set you up and train you to go, but then you will go and live in a different country for 1 year with somebody your age, and they will come back and live with you for 1 year. So let me think. So when I was 15, I went and lived in Ecuador for a month and stayed with my host brother Felipe. And he came back and stayed with me for 1 month. So that is the summer program. That's usually over the summer, but there is some flexibility because the families can actually set it up based on their schedule, whatever works best for them. So here are some terms for the different people involved. You are prospective outbounds or parents of prospective outbounds. That means that you are interested in the program, but you have not been accepted. So you will be a prospective outbound until the end of interviews in December, after which you will either be accepted in the program or not. If you are accepted, you are a future outbound, and then while you're abroad, you're an outbound. When you come back, you're a rebound. If you come back and then volunteer in the program, and this program is a entirely volunteer program. All of us have day jobs that are unrelated to this. But if you come back and continue volunteering in it as a student, you are considered a Rotex. Rotary Youth Exchange chairs are the people who are volunteering from the adult side, from the Rotarian side, and running the program for the district. And the country contact, this will eventually come up, is the person who manages a relationship with a specific country. So all our exchange students that go to Brazil and South America go through one country contact. Who can go? Big question. You must be a high school student, or sometimes you can do gap years, but not all the time. It's complicated. And you must be 15 to 18 and a half as of September 1st of next year. So if you're 14 right now, there's a good chance you could go. If you are a graduating senior, it is usually unlikely that you could go, kind of thing. Then you must turn in all the stuff by the deadline, and you must attend all of our mandatory events, which we'll talk about in more detail later. So for the long-term program, there are a couple more requirements, a couple more documents, and then a couple more training things in the short-term program, just because it is much more complex. The short-term program, there are, let's see, February, March, April, May, 4 mandatory events. Long terms have 6. after you're accepted in the program. So selection process, how do you actually get this scholarship? So we have an application through our website, which I will be demonstrating later. And the big thing with it that you should know is it's different from most applications and that you can submit multiple times. You can submit it and then go back through and change everything and resubmit, and that is fine. It's actually what we expect to happen. Um, so we prefer that you start on it so that we know you're serious about the program. We will actually help you with your application because the application is actually, in some ways, it's more for the State Department and for the other countries than it is for us. Most of our evaluation is based on the interviews that will happen in December. And these will be Zoom interviews with the students, the parents, and the parents and students together because some parents will be like, you should go and push their kids to go even when they don't want to, or some students are really excited to go and their parents aren't on board. And either of those is something that will stop you from being accepted. We kind of need you guys to work as a team for this to work. Another big part of our selection process is that you can bring friends. We actually have a lot of spots for this scholarship, and it's hard to find people who are a good fit. So we usually don't fill all the spots. We could send 2 or 3 times as many students as we sent last year with no issue. So you are not competing against each other. If anything, you're a team. Um, and then, yeah, we want to make sure parent students are on board, and we will also evaluate with the training weekends. So let's say you're accepted in December, but in March, you do something really stupid. Like, I don't know, for some reason you decide to like bring alcohol to a training weekend or break the law or something else like that. You could have your selection revoked later on in the process, or you can voluntarily drop out later in the process. So that happens once in a while. So short-term exchange, what is it? It is a family exchange. You go abroad for 1 month. Your host, wait, oh, sorry. Oh, yes. Sorry, that slide should not have been there. Okay, so now cost. That is the other big question. So long-term program costs roughly $6,000 to $9,000. The short-term program costs roughly $2,500 to $4,000, broken down into more detail. Part of it is airline ticket, part of it's medical insurance, part of it's passport fees, part of it's personal money, just mean you have stuff to spend, uniform supplies, and so on. So whoever's requesting to record, I will actually record this and send it out later. So don't worry, it will be posted for everyone to see. And then actually a nice thing with the long-term program is students receive a stipend. I actually need to update that number. I think students receive like more $100 to $150 per month now. Short-term program, this the a significant portion of the cost is the Rotary fee because we provide trainings, we provide other things, so that covers all of that. It is due by when you submit your application, which actually for short-term is not November 15th, so ignore that. Then there's airfare. This varies depending on country. If you're going to Taiwan, it's more expensive if you're going to Mexico. And then, of course, inflation means those numbers keep going up. You will also need travel insurance, and then there's usually some other random cost. You might need to get vaccinated. You might need to, you will have to pay for language tutoring, a couple other random things that we'll talk about more later. Then the long-term program. So this is an estimate. There are sometimes random other things that come up, but this is most of it. So Rotary fee, that covers a lot. It covers blazers, your shirt, the fee that we have to spend to our parent district, the Otterbein weekend, the January weekend, a bunch of stuff. Airfare, because of how we do the program, you have to book through a specific travel agent that we use. It makes airfare a bit more expensive, but you need specialty tickets and you also need help getting visas. So that is why that airfare is more expensive than you probably expect. You're required to get insurance, and then of course there are a bunch of other random costs. Sometimes you have to visit an embassy, sometimes you have to do other random things, and then of course there is a cost for language as well. Any questions on the cost while I'm here? If not, I'll take questions at the end. Okay. So we didn't call it a scholarship program, and you're like, oh, but it costs money. It's like, yes, it is a partial scholarship. So we are covering your housing, your food, your school tuition. You're getting money every month to spend for long term. Short term is a bit less stuff covered, but also cost less. But all of this stuff is why it's a scholarship. It does not cover literally everything, but just wanted to explain that sometimes there is some confusion. With that said, if we have a student who is interested in the program in a good fit and is not able to meet the cost on the students, we have done some other scholarships on top of the default one, which is Rotary is a service organization. We have been able to raise money for students to meet even this portion of the fee. Doesn't happen all the time. It's often needs based, but just wanted to let you know that is a possibility if that is a barrier stopping you from applying. Another big question is always school credit. School credit varies. We do not have complete control over it. That is really up to your school. So you will need to check in with your school to see if they will accept the credit or not. And we can't really control it. However, if you would like advice, if we can help you give it, I have seen anything from you get no credit to you get literally full credits. If you did a year of class, you get it for all like 8 classes, to sometimes it's partial credit. Some schools will say, hey, this counts for your 2 years, 2 credits worth of language, or this counts for, we'll count the math, we won't count the English, things like that. There's been some variations. And then training. So we cover a lot of different things in trainings that are valuable, not just on exchange, but on kind of life, but in life in general. So things like body language, small talk, how to present, how to deal with other cultures, a lot of other different things are important. So the way we do this is a lot of it's the training at the weekends, those 4 required for short term, 6 required for long term. And then also we do some research papers kind of about where you're going and about Rotary to make sure that you are a good ambassador. So remember, the goal of this program is to create ambassadors to help promote world peace. So we want to make sure that you are prepared to talk about what Rotary is and like stuff about the US if you're going to go abroad. Language is another big one. So from when you know what country you're going to, you are required to do an average of an hour a week of tutoring. We do this through Italki. It is an online language tutoring program that is significantly cheaper than traditional tutors. For short-term students, you're required to do this for 10 weeks, and for long-term for 20 weeks. Bethany, those are the right numbers, right? I know they change sometimes.
It's pretty much when you get your match, you're expected to do as much as you can, but that's approximately 10 weeks before you leave.
Yeah, for the short-term program. For the long
Yes.
term, it's always 20. But yeah, the short term, it's a little complicated sometimes because the matches can be later in the year. And then this is the minimum. More is encouraged. We will talk about that in a lot more detail in the future, so I'm not going to cover it too much more right now. So now I'm going to go for a sec and look at actually our events and when the trainings happen. So if you need to go see more information, 6690exchange.com, go to the calendar. I think the list view is way better than all the other views, so I always go to list view. And here you can see our upcoming sessions. So this weekend, we have an in-person training event that we would love to have you all at. If you can RSVP and just email us that you're going, that would be nice. So we have account for food. It is not required. It is appreciated. But there will be an in-person kind of chance for parents do some more info stuff, have a chance for parents to ask questions, and then the students will be left with us to spend the night to hang out with our 8 inbound students from other countries and to kind of and with our previous exchange students and learn about the program. And also this one will be a lot of doing some fun stuff. And those are kind of what our training sessions are. Some of them, like in October, are just for the day. I believe it's, 11 to 3. It is not overnight. If they are overnight, you need to bring an air mattress. I think there's a packing list on here. Yes, there's a slight packing list. So just be aware. Another info session in October. November has a deadline due, and there will also be just kind of a session for you guys if you have any questions about the application. We'll interview in in December. Well, sorry, I said November is when the application is due. In December is the interviews. You will know if you're accepted within a week. For short terms, your applications are due later. But if you do an early submission, you will be interviewed with the long-term students and you will know that you're in the program early. For January, for long-term students, we are doing an event down in, is it North Carolina?
Yeah.
North Carolina. So this one is going to be the whole weekend, and this is something we've added to the program to kind of improve it, with the big thing being that knowing what country you're going to is a big deal. We want to do that with all 60 students in the multi-district, and also to get some more training that we can provide as a district, because we actually partner with other districts to do this. And that is what this event in January is going to be. We still have some questions about logistics, especially travel, where either we'll probably be taking a bus or we might need parents to find transportation somehow, because we shouldn't have students driving in cars with us for like 6 hours. Just, a standard kind of what's the word? Liability issue. Yes. Appreciate it. I'm not always good with words. Another overnight thing in February. In March, we have a meeting that parents are required to be at, mandatory for both outbound and parents. In April, there is a student-only event with the district conference, which is a really fun time. May is our final all get-together weekend. And then for long terms only, there is an event that will be out on Vine University for a whole weekend. This date is too far off for us to actually, it is approximately this date, but it's a year in advance, so we don't actually know the date for sure yet. If you ever need up-to-date information, check the calendar. Do not ask me. I will literally not tell you, because I don't want to be wrong. I've been wrong before. I told everybody a meeting started at 11. It started at 10. And half people showed up an hour late. So, there's a question. Sorry. You just want to unmute and ask your question. I don't notice.
Yeah, that's okay. Drake, it's Amy Ireland, and I'm curious of that event that's in January. Is that for long terms or short terms or both?
Thank you. That is a good question. It is for only long terms. It may be optional for short terms.
It is optional for short terms.
Okay. Yes. So short terms want to go, but they are not required to go.
And they would have to pay their own way.
Yes, unfortunately. Okay. And actually, any questions about the events or about the schedule for the next year? And so all of that happens as training, and then short-term students go abroad roughly May, June. They come back with their exchange student roughly June, July, maybe August, and then their student stays until usually August, September.
So that's dependent, that travel's dependent on the student and the match student. So the two families work out the specific dates together. So he mentioned earlier a 4-week, sometimes it's 6 on one side and 4 on the other. Sometimes it's 7 on both sides. It's really what you want to do with the family. There's no restriction as far as it must be 4 weeks. Sometimes it's only 3 weeks. Depends on what the kids have as far as their school activities and when school starts and all that.
Now that I saw you had a question.
Yes. Are the classes for kids that are already accepted? Already accepted in the program? Like, I'm wondering, Sarah's 14, she won't be 15 until next year. If she's accepted, will she still attend these classes?
Yes, so if she's accepted, so she would be applying now to go next year, because we don't want to send students we don't want to just put you on a plane and ship you, kind of like some other programs do, or kind of like how colleges do it. We're like, okay, no, we should prepare you before you go. So she would be applying now. And if you don't mind me asking, when is her birthday?
August 28th.
She'll turn 15 August 28th, so she would be traveling the following year.
actually, no, so then she is old enough that she could go this
Yes.
upcoming summer. She
Right.
is within 3 days of the window, so she made it.
Right, right.
Yep. So,
So
and
you
then
go through the
also,
trainings before you travel. So if you decide
yes,
not to go until 26, summer of 26, then she wouldn't do the trainings until next year.
Thank you, that makes sense.
yeah, I think I had a calendar built somewhere, and now I can't find a good version of it. I can find the old version, but it's really ugly.
There it
There we
was.
go. I know, it's so bad. I was gonna remake it, and then I thought I did remake it. But yeah, so applications due, then we do the trainings, then you go, or long term, then you go, and then when you come back, oftentimes students they come back, participate in the events, volunteer, and so on. So, yes. Any other questions? Sweet. Then I will keep on going. There's a question about international youth camps. It so international youth camps vary by country actually. So most countries I believe don't have them for the long term, or I guess I'm not totally sure what you mean by camp. So all of
Some
these
countries
weekends,
offer camps. So Germany offers one, Brazil offers 3 or 4. So that application is actually not through us, that's with the country.
yes. We can talk later in more detail to make sure I'm not misunderstanding you, because there are some things in Rotary that are like international youth camps. We
Right.
want to make sure we're not miscommunicating. Okay, I will keep going for now. So, student to-do list. Start your applications. It takes a while. Short term's not that bad. Long term, it is a pain in the butt. Actually, where's Fisher's mom? Amy, do you remember how bad it was to do your application or help Fisher with his?
Yeah, it's
Yes, I do.
yeah, it's a slog.
Yep. I hear that it's very good preparation for college applications though. So yeah, just be aware of that. So start the application, and then you want to go through and submit it as fast as possible, because when you submit, you get access to more application. There's the first section, then there's a document section. You need to submit to get access to the second section.
Same for short term.
Yep, same for both. Check your passports. If your passport expires anytime soon. So like for short-term students, if you're going abroad in 2025, if your passport expires any point in 2025, you want to renew it now because it takes a while to renew. For long term, if your passport expires anytime through like 2026, you want to renew it. And this is also true for parents. You need at least one parent with a passport that is valid. I don't know of a single time we've had to send a parent to help a student, but it is a thing that we have as a just in case. I don't remember any time we've ever done it, but it's a thing we have a just in case protection measure. Just be aware, get your passports up to date as soon as possible. Next big one is getting in contact with your Rotary Club. So the people sponsoring you are actually your local Rotary Club, or if your local Rotary Club does not participate, finding a club nearby that does. We are happy to help with that. It's kind of hard to find them on your own, but reach out to us and we will start connecting you with them. Another big one, use Blue Ink when signing, and also do it digitally whenever possible. Any form that can be filled out digitally should be. And with the PDFs, figure out how to type things in the PDF. And sign it in a PDF. If you need help with that, reach out, but that is definitely the right way to do it. And then for long-term students, you want to start looking into host families. We will talk more about that in the future, or is it in here? No, it's not. All right, it's in here. Yes, so that is a thing. So just know, this is what the second part of the application looks like. Until you get here, you are not done. So it's more than you think. For host families, this is for long-term students. You're required to submit 3 host families when you apply. So these are 3 people who can potentially host, because usually when your club sends a student, they receive a student. We do not always use them. They're not signing a contract of blood where they have to do it, but they are people who are interested because you're the person actually in your high school. You're more likely to find families than we are. It's kind of harder for us because we're not actually there. So yeah. And then the last kind of thing I had to talk about was why go in the first place? Why go through all this craziness? So I was a short-term exchange student to Ecuador a long time ago now. Not even sure I want to say the dates. And then a long-term exchange student to Brazil for 1 year. It completely changed my life. Rotary is how I got my first 2 jobs, as a mechanic, like as an internship and mechanical engineer, all through Rotary connections. It's changed who I like hang out with my friends. It made me more mature, and like honestly how I got through college was kind of through the stuff that I learned there. It was also my first time kind of being away from my family in that way, because a hard thing that happens right now in the US is students never really get a chance to mess up. Your grades all through high school all count towards your GPA, and your GPA determines what college you get into, and your college GPA determines what job you get. It's like you don't have a single chance to mess up and just fail, learn from it, and recover. And when you would go abroad on exchange, it's kind of the what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas thing. You can try to do things and completely bomb. So I could not wake up for school to save my life. I would oversleep all the time. My mom at the US would always wake me up, make me go. So I'd get my, straight 4.0 GPA. Got to go to school on time every day. My mom in Brazil, she'd let me oversleep. The third time I had to walk to school by myself at 11 a.m., I figured it out. Like stuff like that you don't stuff like that is kind of what you gain by being exchange, gaining a lot of that maturity, but also gaining a bunch of other friendships and things that I'm not even doing justice at all. And you'll also have the cool experiences of anybody you know. So you know what, I'm gonna wait, come to the in-person session. I'll have some of the recent exchange students talk because they're gonna do a better job than I am because I'm too wordy. And then also the other fun thing is we are known for having the best language program of pretty much any Rotary Youth Exchange program. So you will come back as a long-term student entirely fluent. If you're a short-term student, you will come back speaking significantly better. Kind of depends on how hard you work at it, but you can get much better. So like kind of Rotary Youth Exchange is how I started learning languages, and now I speak 5, a little bit of a 6, because of that. So yeah, that is it. Thank you. This is a volunteer thing. We also like you're trusting us with your students. So we really appreciate it. We care about this program and creating ambassadors for world peace, but it wouldn't be possible without the students and parents also. And that is it. That is my contact information for any questions you want to reach out. And I am actually just going to turn off the recording now, and we can do our Q&A off the recording. If I can find the button. That's the wrong button.